Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show. Welcome to your Wednesday morning edition of Second Breakfast. How you guys doing out there in TV land? It's a glorious day in the neighborhood. I had a game with Bloodworth last night. A little slow, a little tragic. We lost a character who just barely came in. Fought some were rats, and of course we had no magic or silver, so we barely walked out of that one alive. We'll be back not even next week, or the week after, because Bloodworth's going in for a procedure. And had a fun chat with our good friend James L last night, and got some painting done. A few more things closer to being called done. Really happy with this scarecrow. He's going to be the general of my great pumpkin army, and his lieutenant will be the scarecrow from the Steampunk Wizard of Oz collection. And I got some bases in so I could put these little pumpkins and other things, these small things, on bases. I'm not done with this one, but I went ahead and threw some tufts on there, a little sand, and got these guys on bases, these little hordlings, and his tentacles just I keep throwing a wash in there, but then I go, oh, I need to dry brush over it, and then the dry brush goes in the cracks. So I'm just gonna throw a wash on it and call it done, and hopefully that'll work. Speaking of which, where is my red tone? Hope you guys are having a great day and great week. Shell back again. Sorry for your loss. Let's see, where's the red? Oh, first grab. Got it. Oh, I also wanted to show this one off because now you can kind of see the Johan, the undead hunter. Ah, such a sweet mini. That's going to be fun. I was joking with James L. I was thinking about painting him like Batman, but I'm actually not. I'm going to instead make him more like Moon Knight. So lots of white. So I'm pretty much just done. I'm kidding, of course. I'm going to go over certain parts with gold and silver, but I'm not going to do any more on this one until later because it's supposed to go along with the Halloween spectacular that we're going to be doing through September, October, November. And I'm going to primer Dagoth a little later. He's looking pretty sharp. He's also going to be in white. I want to actually learn how to do whites better. The speed paint whites are not even close. It's really kind of depressing. I'm going to probably have to whip up my own contrast paint with matte medium and flow improver and see if I can't get something that will. It's almost actually that's not right. A speed paint or a contrast paint will make the white go into the crevices, and that's not what I want. So I guess I'm going to have to up my dry brushing game, which means I'll probably have to wait until it's not so blinking hot. It was 104 today, 4 yesterday, and today is probably going to be a little bit hotter, if that's possible. Um, so dry brushing just, he came out a little chalk. Oh, what the hell? He came out a little chalky in the cloak, but right, yeah. But then I've got his little concubine there, looking kind of. I don't know. She's got a tail, so I don't know that's kind of a deal breaker for me. I don't know about everybody else, but um, yeah, not that doesn't do anything for me. If anything, it scares me. So AK Interactive Quick Gen White is quite nice alternative to speed paint white, right? But again, the white is going to go into the crevices, and I don't want that. Uh, I want the white to be where it is now, just on the raised areas, so that the shadows are where they're supposed to be. So I'm going to just have to practice on other things, maybe like Dagoth and a whole bunch of the things as personal assistant, right? I've got a whole bunch of things in my box over here that are specifically for, uh, you know, uh, Gothic horror, Vampire Wars. So I will just do a whole lot of Zenithal highlighting at the start of that month or that season, I should say, and really try to get that down a little bit better so that when it comes time to actually do any painting, it will be my technique will be better when it comes to doing the whole dry brushing thing. I've seen some like the version of Dagoth that's on the Reaper site. He's painted in white and silver and gold, I believe, and it looks just stellar. He kind of has that Assassin's Creed vibe to him, and I'm pretty sure that miniature is older than the Assassin's Creed um, franchise. So maybe he inspired them instead of the other way around. But either way, I want magenta for that, not red. But I'm getting some stuff done. How about you, James? What have you been painting? Maybe a very thin blue wash, because if you want pure white, just use opaque acrylics, right? Which I've got a ton of. I actually did him in the Reaper white, um, just because I'm trying to get rid of my Reaper paints. It's the minority of what's on my table in the active duty roles, and I just want to get rid of them. I'm not using them that much, and the labels are crap. I showed the label the other day. Where is it? Here's one, but you can see it's fading. It's even the darkest ink on there is just rubbing off, and I had to write the colors on with a pen. I have been practicing on Space Marines. Nice. The Reaper display painter is much better than some companies. Okay. Oh boy. But I've managed to knock it down. I've only got about 25, maybe 30 pieces on my table. Oh, I need to primer her as well. And I don't have anything. Well, I do have one thing coming in, but I am not going to be painting that. And that is the Solomon Kane Kickstarter uh, that it comes with, all the books, the DM screen, the dice, etc. But a big box of Solomon Kane miniatures from Monolith, and I got that all on half price, which was still not cheap. It was $100, plus shipping. But they shipped it like the next freaking day through, I guess, Miniature Market, which is kind of okay because it's going to be here today. If you hear the dog going crazy, it's because they're dropping off a big ass box, and I might run down and go get it. Yeah, I've caught a couple of the Reaper casts where they have one or more of their painters, but they're not really very talkative. They're just kind of dry, and so I usually get kind of bored. Sorry, no offense, guys. I know if you're introverted and that sort of thing. Being in front of the camera painting isn't maybe your bag, but um, there are folks out there that can do both. Even Vince, who's kind of that way. Oh, dude, my prediction is that in the near future you're going to have a little pork chop of your own. He was a cute little chunky little guy, um, and that must be awesome. A 15 millimeter high elf army, nice. Miniature Market ships quickly, but they forget a couple of boxes and had to talk to. Well, see, normally I go for the cheapest or I get the free shipping, which is weird because it was over $100. It should have been free shipping. Maybe they changed it. I haven't bought from them in like maybe 2 years, because right around the COVID era, all their prices went up, and I was like, too rich for my blood. I can go elsewhere to get the same stuff for better prices, better deals. Because I used to get some steals over there. I got the entire Robotech Kickstarter for like $50. It was ridiculously cheap, um, and tons of other stuff, tons and tons of other stuff. But then all of a sudden, everything went up in price, and I've never bought any Reaper stuff from them before. But it shocked me because, one, it was through Miniature Market, and two, because it was in the mail the next day. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Because like a lot of sellers on eBay, they'll print the label right after you make the order, and that counts it as having been shipped. And I'm like, I get suckered a lot. It's like, "Oh, your order is shipped." No, it hasn't. They just printed the label. It'll be a week before they get that out in the mail, which is often the case, and I don't like that at all. But that's why I don't print the label until the day before it's going to the post office. And then I got these guys. What do you think, guys? Um, I did something really new, and I'm going to try it out a little bit more. Stippling, and I don't have like a stippling brush. So what I used was, where the heck is it? Right here. I used this crochet needle that I used as a poking tool, and you can't see it here, but maybe my camera's lagging. But on his tentacles, I made little pink dots, little speckles, and speckles, not schmeckles. And it kind of works, but I used this neon pink, and it kind of got overwhelmed by the undercoat of the blue and the purple underneath it. And hopefully they'll turn out cool. I got two of these guys, um, and I did this guy as well. You can probably see him a little better. He's green with little pink polka dots. I just wanted to try it out, make him look all motley and or modeled. Ah. But I'll post some pictures of these when I'm totally done, and you can zoom in on them. Yeah, I've never really tried it before, and I was thinking about it, and then I was like, "What am I going to do that?" Which guy, the purple and pink guy, looks like part of the anatomy when you sit down too quickly on the bus. Yeah, and it's got a lot of like dried super glue on the end. I need to break out a lighter and melt that crap off. But I was able to just dink, dink, a little dot here, a little dot there, and it was kind of fun. It was new, little technique that I never used before. It's always been up here, but never down here. And now I'm going to try that more with tentacles and things like that, and see if I can't get it to, you know, have just one more, effect that he looks like he eats your chips when you're asleep. He is definitely got some personality for a tiny little, it's a 28 mil piece, but it's only about a centimeter and a half tall. And he came in a 3-pack with this orange guy. Also, it looks like he would be stealing my chips. And then he came with the aforementioned little miniature Cthulhu, which I thought would be great. In like a 10 mil or 6 mil game, he's giant, right? But he's just, a cute little bastard. But speaking of cute little bastards, these are going to be hard to show off, but I got this little pack in one of the lots of Reaper miniatures that said familiars, but it was along with the pumpkins and the troll and the scarecrow, not the scarecrow, but a whole bunch of Halloween sort of themed miniatures. And I didn't think anything of it, but it came with these familiars. And here's one. It's this little dark angel looking, you know, girly. And I think they're all supposed to be like trick or treaters almost. Although there's this gingerbread man who holding his head in one hand and a rolling pin in the other. and this cute little goblin girl leaning over on a pumpkin, all being all cute. And then, uh, speaking of cute, there's this little werewolf kid, like little little munchkin werewolf playing with a pumpkin, howling at the moon. It's really really cute. And probably my favorite, and I haven't touched it hardly at all, is this little tiny little rat with a big red cloak. It's white now, but it's going to be a big red cloak on the back. Uh, that's your girlfriend Bluebell. And then, unfortunately, there was this little disappointment here. There's this ghost, but the face is is just mushed. It just didn't come out right. But I'm gonna see if I can't fix it with some washes and stuff. I know a guy who paints only by stippling. He does he goes very slowly, and his stuff is imprecise, but it has loads of character. It's such a something I'm going to try. I was watching something. I'm not going to say what because I'm going to be using some ideas from it for an upcoming game. Not going to say which one, and I don't want to give anything away. But there were some things in there that had these color schemes and these paint jobs or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, I like that effect. I want to incorporate that more. Face goes from coast to coast. Nice, James. And I'm also not touching the. Oh, that reminds me, I need to get a base for that. I need to measure that out. The Dracula's carriage. That's going to be possibly the highlight of the season. That big metal freaking four horse drawn, gothic coach. Oh my god, such an unbelievable buy. I've seen other ones from like Blue Moon and other companies, even Games Workshop. But theirs were plastic. Who wants that crap, right? Um, and the cheapest one I saw was $54, and I got that one for 20 from Miniature Market of all places. They, as much as I give them a hard time, every once in a while they blow my mind with something that's just one that they have it, and two that it's just like you're just giving this away, right? You don't even care. Maybe because it's like been on the shelf so long that they're like, hey, we just got to move these old things. And if I see another one, James, I will let you know. Um, yes, I saw that, and it might do, but I want to get this one. But I need like really big, classy base. I mean, that's going to be like the centerpiece of Dracula's army, or maybe somebody else's army, depending on how I spend the points or build the armies or whatever. Um, but I got to start getting uh, some bobbies and some local thugs and the Baker Street irregulars, something to go along with Sherlock Holmes contingent, because it's just him and Watson up against Dracula and the Wolfman or Frankenstein's monster or what have you. So I got to kind of build up. I want to build up a Dracula army, a mummy cohort or something. I'm not big on the werewolves, but I know I'm probably going to do them anyways. I definitely got the Blue Oyster Cult rocking, and I'll need some deep ones for that. And what was the other one? Van Helsing and the Harkers and that sort of thing. And for for them, I could mix and match Sherlock Holmes and Bobbies and people like that. And then there was one more army that I wanted to do. They have some other uh, like factions of vampires, like kind of like the vampire hunting vampires, if you will, which sounds kind of cool. And I should probably do that at some point, just so if Jackie and I play, he doesn't feel like, oh, you got the good vampires, I got the crappy vampires. Take more guns or something. I don't know. I'm still reading the rules, but I also picked up from the same company, and this kind of blew my mind that they even made it, but a superhero skirmish game. So I picked it up, and there's two books, and I think I got them for like $20, which was a steal. North Star do bobbies, but I would get the flat caps and truncheons box from the guys who do Dead Man's Hand, whole squad of them, plus Peaky Blinder gangsters and a mall. Yeah, I definitely need some stuff like that. Maybe even like a Paperboy, or something like that. But I definitely need like the Street Irregulars, and I did see some like Vampire Children, and that's really really creepy. And I got plenty of like uh, vampire women and things like that. Gruesome Thralls, just regular pulp thugs, but pale and red eyed. Might do, might do. There are some. There's one set of minis out there I might grab. It's uh, like like Mad Bombers, almost like Fez wearing classic round cannonball bomb with the fuse. Just like just really like I don't know, just something about that. I guess they're like Turkish. I think it says terrorist in the name, but they're just like that era that I could easily use for a pulp game. Cultists and some of those guys throwing bombs at the heroes. Yeah, maybe Cold Iron, but what I've got. Not only do I have like the old Marvel, Grenadier, but Marvel lead miniatures, and I've got the Watchmen and the Teen Titans and a bunch of those superhero minis from back in the day, but they're all 25 mil. But I've also got this one or two sets of Grenadier generic superheroes, just like you know, you want to say it's like kind of like this guy, but it's not. Their own thing with names, uh, but some really wild, oddball superheroes. And then I've got a box of minis that I literally wrote oddballs on it. That's why I said that, because I don't know who made them. I don't know where they come from. They're early 70s, excuse me, mid 70s to late 70s. No cast mark on the base, anything like that, of superheroes that are just like, by today's standards, you know, if someone told you like a middle schooler sculpted them and their dad said, screw it, let's make miniatures out of them, you wouldn't be surprised because they're really primitive. I mean, really just bare bones, off scales, but odd, really, really odd. But I know that they might be the only ones left on the planet. They're so old and so obscure. And I went through not miniature market, Lost Minis Wiki. I went through like everyone, and that's hundreds of miniature companies looking for these miniatures, and I could not find them. So painting them is not going to happen anytime soon. I really like HeroClix. Wish they did more with it, and the minis were a bit nicer. I think D&D ones are coming out. Cool. There are actually a lot more than I was aware of. I got out of it after like the second or third set. I'm just like, but I do know that with some acetone, that paint comes right off, and you can kit bash the hell out of them, make your own heroes, do all kinds of cool shit. Um, they're still a little pricey for what they are, even if you're just buying like boxes of commons. And I don't want to do that, one, because I'm kind of just so done with plastic, except for Archon and a few exceptions. That I'm just like, if I can't find it in metal, I'll just wait. Um, the base tracking thing is actually really, really a neat mechanic, but the problem is with the superheroes, they one click and they can drop so drastically as to be unrecognizable mathematically, um, with their stats and ability. Even like Superman, if he takes a point of damage, he's like he's like Clark Kent, because I think the maximum they have is 12 clicks on any one, 12 or 8. So that's not a lot of you know room to vary the stats, and uh, During that time, I was consumed with the rules they made for Muscle. That's something I've not heard, but like once in the last decade. Battle Beasts and Monsters in My Pocket, Heroclix took up so much space. We had to play on the floor in the back. That would have been a freaking blast. Me and Jackie would have had a lot of fun. There's this company out there, I forget the name. I want to say it's Mad Eye, believe it or not. Not to be confused with Armstrong. But they made a game, and there's three versions, but the first version is actually the best, called Giant Monster Rampage. And we took all of Jackie's Godzilla toys and some action figures because we had to have Ultraman and things like that. And it was a skirmish game where you use those big giant Duplo blocks for buildings, and when you took damage, you would take off part of the building. So kind of like in War of the Monsters, the video game. Have you ever played that? Where you can just smash the shit out of the entire battlefield. That was so much fun. Just doing that. We would just sometimes play that and just beat the crap out of the building. We didn't care about anything else. Um, but they also made an action figure game and something else, maybe a superhero game. But they were all designed to be played with your toys, like the action figure game, the Godzilla game, the superhero game. It was all meant to literally be, use the toys that you have, and now we've got rules for them. And I'm in contact with the guy on occasion, and he put out a new game I was supposed to check out, and I totally kind of spaced it, but I know where it is, and I'll take a look at it. Do you remember Polly Pocket for boys? Oh, dude, I was just looking at the John Carter Tarzan versions of those. They're on my list. I know it's dorky as hell, but anything Tarzan and John Carter has got a special place in my heart. When I was, you know, uh, a wee lad, really young. I mean, I think it was pre kindergarten when Mego was like at its height, almost not at its height, but really big. And I got my first Batman, the one with the removable cowl that went up to, like over 10 grand, and my parents not tossed it. But I remember within like 2 weeks he broke, right? And I was all bummed. And we went to the store, and they'd already took off the removable cowl and put the painted head on. And my mom, being the genius that she was, she figured out how to take the head off, swap it on a new body. But then she figured out how to restring all the Migos. But it wasn't Batman that was my favorite. For some dumb reason, it was Tarzan, because I could go out in the backyard with Tarzan, and we had this area we literally called the jungle before I got those toys. Uh, and I could play in this little alcove in this corner. Oh man, I could still remember it like it was yesterday. It was this place that I could go behind the bushes, and my parents couldn't get to me because they couldn't get through the bushes in their wheelchairs and shit. And except for when one sprinkler in the corner would go on, I was in my own little Tarzan world, and it was all trees and bushes and stuff. And I learned to make like spears out of branches, and I even made like a wicker shield at one point because I learned how to. Like I saw that somewhere on TV, and I'm like, hey, I could take some twigs and do this, and did that, and that was fun. Migo was just the shit for the longest time. I mean, I had just like my parents were like, we were really spoiled for a period of time until everything went south. Um, your thumbs always broke on your Migos. Well, that's because you were chewing on them. Don't say you weren't, because we all did. Just like the Kung Fu grip. Um, I'm surprised you brought up Rat Fink. I was a big fan of not just Rat Fink, but Cobra and Mongoose. You remember those guys? You remember? If you remember, type it in the chat, because almost nobody remembers that. And that had nothing to do with superheroes or any of the kind, sci-fi or fantasy or any of that stuff. But if you remember, type it in. My friend who came with her dog today, I gave her a toy. She looks after like a big block of soapstone you dig out. Oh yeah, yeah, we did that. There was believe it or not, there was some of these we still have the pieces because inside were glow in the dark Egyptian artifacts like little pyramids and little mummies and shit. Then I let Jackie, when he was a little guy, take dig the toys out. We washed them off, and we've got them in a box somewhere of all the different little relics because they glow in the freaking dark. I mean, duh. Um, Yeah, the simple green and tan army men, some marbles in the backyard were yeah. Don't forget the firecrackers though. I mean, maybe you guys didn't have access to those, but I, I, I genocided quite a few um, army men and tanks and helicopters and stuff like that. Um, I always wanted the knights in shining armor as a kid, but I could never get my folks to buy those. I don't know why. Like, oh, you want the green and the blue ones? Yeah, sure, no problem. The World War II looking stuff, no problem. But the knights, they were just like, nah, nah, nah. I did have Fort Apache, and I did have the Fortress Navarone. I was talking to a friend of mine about that. He lost his mind when I brought that up. That I remembered and had shit like that. I was just looking at a Fort Apache in the tin box. I got mine in a cardboard box, but the tin box. Oh my god, it's like this big giant lunch box with all the cowboys and the Indians and the walls and the stuff in it. Man, I so wish our kids and grandkids could put down the tablets, put down the phones, and just play with that stuff. I credit a huge part of Jackie's genius, not to his genetics or my time staying at home, but from the fact that when he was like 18 months old, cut up sparklers. That's neat. I would never have thought of that. I gave him a little bag of blue Lego blocks. It's got a starter set, if you will. I just got them on eBay. I just wanted to look for something he couldn't choke and swallow, right? Try to eat. And it was like 30 or 40, 2x4 regular blocks, right? And he and I would sit there, and I'd watch him, and it's like, okay, build an airplane, and he uses imagination to do that. Build a boat, or build a giant robot, or just some simple stick figure kind of things with those blocks. And as soon as he got to a certain point, it's like, okay, it's on. We're doing whatever the thing is, the big thing. And it turned out to be Hero Factory, which, oh my god, even I was just like, this is freaking awesome. They were these articulated bone skeletons, but all Lego, right? With snap-on armor pieces. It was like a step above Bionicle, and for years it was just he has literally everything they ever made for it, except for like maybe one or two sets we couldn't find, and I could buy them now, but they're freaking insanely priced because they only lasted a few years. And they had waves, wave one, two, three, whatever, and he would spend all day just building new characters. And the cool thing is they were like action figures because they had ball joints on the ankles, the knees, the hips, sometimes the waist, the shoulder, the head, arms, elbows, hands, etc. And they had cool little gadgets and weapons and all kinds of uh, gadgets and stuff and vehicles and just all kinds of crazy shit. And for years he would build stuff. Okay, let's take pictures. And then he got this app where they had not just a game, but he got the Stickbot app, and he would do little animated shorts with the Stickbots. You guys remember those? We still have like probably 20 unopened Stickbots. Those were so cute and so much fun. Nobody remembers Stickbots, huh? That wasn't like that long ago. There are these little plastic stick men with smiley faces and articulated joints. Uh, yeah. Same here. And once, when my parents like lost the gun shop, and finances started turning really south, I was already a teenager, and I put all my toys away, and all I was doing was just chasing girls. And everything else went to the wayside. Your favorite board game has small army men called Memoir 44. I've seen that around. Cold Iron says, I love those wacky niche games, Shadow, where you should do your top 10 favorite obscure tabletop games. Probably, maybe I don't really do a lot of board games, to be honest. I mean, I there were some old ones that I absolutely loved, Broadside and Stratego, but I can't even find those anymore, that aren't just charging pure nostalgia prices. Probably why I'm a bit less fussed by pop culture now. Pop culture doesn't have a lot to really pop about. I don't have that, but I have the Napoleonic and medieval Command and Colors games. Yeah, it's hard because I've got the the next Shadows of Brimstone Kickstarter coming, and that was the game Jackie and I would stay up till past midnight playing all the time. Whenever we got a 3-day weekend or anything like that, we would be playing that. And the last Kickstarter, he didn't even look at, and that was 2-3 years ago. Didn't even. He's like, he's at that point. And it's not really girls; it's other things, just being with his friends and everything else. I remember it was like his 11th or 12th birthday when it happened. He, I got him two sets of Legos, like the Iron Man set with all the different Iron Man, minifigs, like they're standing in their armor, you know, cubbies, where he's got all his different suits lined up. It's a really cool set and something else, right? And he opened them up for Christmas. I mean, it was his birthday, I think. Opened up all his presents. He's like, cool, cool, cool. And I look, and a week later, still not open. I'm like, okay, milestone achieved. No longer playing with toys, and that was it. Just nothing. None of that stuff. You know, appealed to him anyway in any way, shape, or form. And now he's 18, and he just yesterday went to the recruiter for overnight testing. Uh, scholastic and physical examination, medical exam, the whole bit. Even though he has no plan to join any branch until like next year. Um, but he's not all grown up. He'll never be all grown up to me because I'm his dad. But he's grown up and thinking about other things, talking about getting a part time job and helping out around the house, financially. And I'm like, really need to do that, but his mom thinks he needs to. So getting any more board games and things like that, even though I'm going to back Shadows of Brimstone till you know they shut out the lights. I started playing that game solo. I might set up a table in the other room um, and start playing it again. Even if it looks crazy, like I'm losing my mind, I'm still going to do it because it's the new Kickstarter. Well, the last one was Vikings and something else. I backed it even though I didn't really wasn't really super enthused with that theme. Cowboys going to Viking land, whatever. It's like whatever. But the new one is it's sort of fourfold. There's two parts of the Kickstarter. One is the Egypt, and on the other side of the boards are Atlantis themed, playing piece tiles, for the floors, and all kinds of pharaohs and Egyptian stuff, right? But then it's got a bunch of like kooky Atlantean monsters and characters and things like that. So you've got your sort of, the mummy sort of pulp kind of adventures you could be playing, or you could play like the Atlantis movie kind of theme stuff. But then the other part of the Kickstarter is the Hell Train, and it's cardboard tiles of a train and all kinds of bandits and new characters and other things that would rob the train like during normal West days, including a bunch of banditos on horses and heroes on horses. So they have to like try to ride up and jump on the train, which I mean, who doesn't want to actually play that out, right? But then you flip it over and it's the Hell Train, which was supposed to be the $1 million goal for the very first Kickstarter, like almost 10 years ago. but we didn't reach the million. And with it comes, ghost banditos, ghost passengers, just all kinds of spectrally goofy, ghostly, undead crap. Like you're riding the train, just going from point A to point B, and all of a sudden you go through a tunnel or something, and everything turns neon ghostly, and all the passengers look at you and just grin with their skull grins coming at you. Oh my god, that's going to be so much fun. I'm going to get so much use out of those neon paints and the uh, phantasm glows and all those colors, the tesseract greens and the pastel blues and things like that. You just get them all like. I'm gonna have to break out a crap ton of glow in the dark paint for those paint jobs. Sorry guys. Solo gaming is fine. Some people don't get it, but it's good to throw in some random events. Maybe even do a little journaling. Um, Maybe I've never been one for writing down my thoughts and activities. I never wanted to leave any evidence, a manifesto or anything like that. Uh, a lot of solo games I've played are just record keeping with tower defense thrown in. But if you enjoy generative stories, I do. But I honestly, I'm more of a in the moment guy. When I was playing Shadows by myself, it was like getting really into my characters. I named them and even had like because in one party I had this guy and this girl because um, each character card, if you will, has the male and female version, and I made two of the same because I really like that character card class, whatever you want to call it, and they were like it was some sort of cowboy or ranger or something. And I made a male and a female one, even though I know there was no such thing as female Texas Rangers ever, in any alternate dimension. Get over it. Um, but I had them as like in my mind, this story was building of little romance there, little something going on slowly over the course of games and adventures and stuff. And so like if somebody got like really hurt and stuff, it would be like, oh no. I was really getting into it, having a lot of fun. I love that fucking game. Uh, it's why I have almost every stupid expansion, even stuff I'll never ever use. Some hex encounters are not easy, but it's kind of cool to have some simulations. Hold on, sorry guys, because most of my other war games are first and foremost games. Edgelord says, I've been playing Operation Typhoon recently with a couple of friends. It was easier to get into for me because I play Russia. James says, you write it in you you write it in character. You draw maps and dines. Today we encounter some frogs, possibly French lizardmen or French lizardmen. I I was just thinking, who was it the other? It was like a week or two ago who did that. Maybe it was you who was writing. Dear Martha, today we. It was just like, oh God, if my family came across those notebooks, if I did those kind of journals and they started reading that crap, if they could read my handwriting, they would think I lost my ever loving mind. Walker, Texas Ranger 2, Chuck Norris. I shouldn't say easy because I'm getting the tar kicked out of me. I mean, you can't win them all, right? I mean, that gets boring. It really does. I played. It was kind of one of the reasons why I got out of Epic and Necromunda because I was winning against my friends all the time, and I could see they were, you know, tired of having spent a crap ton of money and then not winning a single game. It was like, losing. Obviously can be disheartening, but it could also be like, yeah, I'm not sinking any more money into a game I can't win, right? Cold Iron says Devilry Afoot is a fun as hell solo. Never heard of it. Is Devilry afoot is boss. Sheesh. I don't know anything about it. Um, it sounds Holmesian in a way, but maybe I'm wrong. Um, why don't you guys explain? Because apparently nobody out there remembers Snake. It was a Snake and Mongoose or Cobra and Mongoose. They were funny car racers, and they had this rivalry out here in California. Uh, and as a kid, it was just something that was popular here, and we went to the races and watched it, enjoyed it, and then it disappeared. Just completely disappeared, and uh, nobody I know ever talks about it. Except me, because it was just this weird thing. Uh, like naming your car mongoose meant you always beat the snake. Um, right? I mean, just it was just weird, but looking back, it could have been completely, staged, for that sort of thing, like wrestling. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. It was loud. It was fun. I got to sit in a couple of the vehicles as a kid because we went to a race through Cub Scouts, and the scout leader had managed to get the okay for us to put on the helmet and sit in the car and go vroom vroom for a couple of minutes, and then it was some other kid's turn. It was awesome. It was awesome. I also got to do that with some military vehicles at an air show once. Uh, it I got to get real close to the stealth bomber and touch it. They said don't touch it, but yeah, I'm touching it. You say don't touch something, I'm touching it. But the funny thing is years later, I would grow up, kind of, and uh, end up dating one of the designers of the very self same airplane. Uh, years later, not too many years later, but years later, it's like, oh no way, small world. Okay, what do we got here? I haven't tried. Cold Iron says love it easily in his top five. Nick Wright also wrote Fantastic Battles, which is a great War Master heartbreaker. So like a 10 or 15 millimeter fantasy war game like War Master. I haven't tried When Nightmares Come yet though. He is doing a dungeon crawler called Fantastic Scuffles. He also did a prehistoric game. Cool author. Empire of the Dead. I got to break out that game, Sticks and Stones. It's a little micro game from micro games back in the day. It fits in an envelope about this big. It's just a you know piece of construction paper folded and quartered, and some counters and a little mini rule book where you fight. You've got X number of cavemen depending on the scenario against like saber tooth tigers and woolly mammoths and other cavemen. It just as a skirmish game with actual miniatures, if you blew it up, that could be a lot of just goofy fun. You know what I mean? Because it's not like you're fighting a real war, of 1812 or something like that, reenactment or any of that. You're just a bunch of freaking, the most primitive of men against the most vicious of creatures of the era or each other. It just I want to do that at least once, but I don't really want to like go out and spend a crap ton of money on woolly mammoths and saber tooth tiger minis and a bunch of cavemen minis, which are not easy to find. Trust me, there's a few. You might have to use like a bunch of whites, long shaggy haired dudes with claws and clubs, and paint them skin color instead of white or blue or whatever. Okay, so basically, Devilry Afoot is broadly a skirmish game of witch hunters, religious zealots, werewolves, kind of pike and shot era. Okay, well, right after I get through reading the Solomon Kane RPG, I might be up for something like that versus the gothic horror, which is way more supernatural and super science, oriented. But I might have room for that in the 3 month season that we're going to do. Just all kinds of, all things, kind of Ravenloft, right? Um, I also have some Ravenloft I'm going to go over, and a few other things. I had some Mammoth Hunters for Tusk, which I sent you the WWW One Guys and Dinos for the same game. Yeah, I was just going through the 15s that you sent me and 10s and what have you. Um, I'm gonna have to knuckle down and buy some print on demand or whatever copies of some rules like that, to where I actually have it in my hand, so that I can go like, yeah, I want to paint these up. I'll play this solo game because I can go down on the dinner table, or even I've got this little TV tray that I could probably run small skirmish games on. I just need to get a dice tray. The one I got from Venger is lovely, but it's massive. I mean, it won't even fit on my table here. It's so massive. Um, it's something, uh, like ostensibly these were going to be dice trays, but they ended up being coasters for my water cup. And one's actually, it's not a dice tray; it's a dice holder. These are all the dice I kind of own and use for gaming. I have more dice in other places, but I don't. If they come with a game, they stay with the game. If they come in like a special box, or like I'll show you these. I love these dice. These, I think so. Yeah. These black, they're solid brass dice, but they stay in the box, and thus I never freaking use them. I will take them downstairs for Jackie's friends to use, because I want them to, like, have that tactile thing. They've got, most of them have their own dice, but occasionally there's a couple of players. Um, One of them I think is really sweet on Jackie, so I let her use this those dice, so that she's got, like, something solid, something, like, oh my god, these are heavy. These are, there's something, these aren't your ordinary, just, cheap plastic Timu dice, $5 a set kind of thing. And you can just see it every time, her eyes just light up. It's like, oh, I get the good dice, you know, uh, you're a friend of Jackie's, and it's more like Silver Bayonet if it was in Solomon Kane's post-English Civil War era. Okay. Uh, Verotwood is another great one, but it's still relatively unknown. They have an Old West version of the game too. Uh, Old West is something I think, maybe in the cards for next year. I've got, as you can see up there, I've got all of the Zombicide Undead or Alive pieces that completely all unopened. I bought them for Wild West stuff, and playing Cowboys and Indians by myself, just that sounds to me like it's just going to bring back some, like, you know either really good memories or some really unhappy memories. When I was a kid, um, when I was playing with the Fort Apache set, there were some things going on in the family that weren't great, and I would, try to escape to the Old West and massacre some Indians, which, as we all know, was plagued by zombies. I actually shedded some rules, though. All my Ganesh stuff is very simple, which I like, but maybe too much, and I have so many skirmish rules. Well, I still have uh, the sailing ship rules that I got from you, and those will work. Um, but I'm always, it's like that thing, from Red Dwarf, when they're talking about uh, Wilma Flintstone and Betty Rubble. I'd go out with Betty, but I'd be thinking about Wilma. Who are we kidding? She's never going to leave Fred. Um, if you remember that, it'd be like that, and I'd be thinking about Man of War. That was just one of the absolute best nautical games I've ever come across. And I get it; it was really cartoony and really over the top in its ridiculousness, but we had so much fun playing that game. I had this giant ping pong table dedicated just for games. I had a garage, a single car garage, but it was lined with shelves, lined with 40K tanks and things. It was all mine. And I'd open it up, and my buddies would show up. We'd play a crap ton of games and have just a huge, massive, great time doing that. And um, of course, we played 40K, and we played uh, Man of War, and we played Epic, and we played a little bit of uh, Space Fleet Gothic, and the game that preceded that, Space Fleet or some shit like that. Of course, we'd also go there to play D&D sometimes, and it was just a really fun time. And Man of War, man, what a game! Just my Bretonian fleet. Oh, love those minis. Love that the style of play, the tactics really made me feel like I needed to pay attention to the wind and all these things and the winds of magic and which way the wind was blowing. It was just chef's kiss, man. Perfect dice tray and holders are wood cigar boxes when you line them with self adhesive felt. Uh, Nice. I don't smoke cigars. I used to have. It's funny you mentioned that. My epic Imperial Guards were in a cigar box for the longest time. My prized Imperial Guard army. Oh, I won so many epic battles with that army until it couldn't fit in that box, and I had to get another box. But I still kept like I want to say either the infantry or the yeah. I'm pretty sure it was the infantry because they had the tanks and things like that. All that metal was in a much bigger box, and I still have almost all of that except the most of my infantry. Slowly but surely, I've been picking up a little bit here, a little bit there. Uh, you bought those Zombicide Westerns? Did you buy the Zombicide Iron Maiden box set? That was fun. I had a lot of fun painting that set. Um, Maybe go out and buy a new copy of Peace of Mind, my favorite Iron Maiden album. Actually, it's not true. My favorite album is, I think, Killers, but the original singer, what a piece of shit he turned out to be, right? And he was my favorite singer. I really hate that fact that he, I liked his voice better, but then I saw recently he was just like a major fraudster and did all kinds of, like medical insurance fraud and bilking the government, shit like that. Embrace the moving diorama. Solo gaming is great. Take it from someone into historicals. I'd get nothing played otherwise. Well, no, you're working on it. You made some new friends, and you and your brother and those guys are they're gonna kick your ass. You better be careful, man. War games are either super simple and or super complex. I miss the middle ground of crunch and fun. Uh, Man of War is great, but predates me by just a few years. Blink and you miss a specialist GW game. I know, right? And then try as you might, try and find one of those games. Uh, just it's awful. I've been looking for decades to find a decent copy of Space Hulk that wasn't $300-400. I'm like, no, it's not worth it. I can go out right now and I can buy a PlayStation 2 version of Space Hulk for the PlayStation that I can play on my PlayStation 4 and get all that same kind of, fun. Yeah, we played a lot of them. Necromunda was a big one. Aeronauticus Imperialis, that was a lot of fun. All you need is the one box. It's got like 3 planes and 3 planes, and you can mix and match. Okay, it's just like we're just gonna do it real quick. Just one fighter, one fighter. Okay, cool. 30 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. Fun. 3 planes against 3 planes. Whatever. Two against one. All kinds of just cool, maneuverable tactics. It's a simple system, and we had a lot of fun. We played only like 2 games, but it was fun. And I know if the time was right and I had it all set up, Jackie'd be like, "Yeah, I can do that." But clearing off a dinner table is like every time I try to do that, the wife just like, "What are you doing now? You ain't better put it all back." It's just like nagging, man. Right? Just just something about it just like kills just a little bit of my soul each and every time. They redid Epic with no Eldar or yeah, and it sucked. Yeah, DM James is all into it. I'll never own it. I do have the Titan stuff and the Aeronauticus Imperialis, all of which are compatible, but uh, the old version's better. It just is. It's easier to play. It's easier to understand. It's not. They really tried to make it more complicated with the new version. I was looking at the Titan stuff, and I'm like, this is. I'm already like not having fun reading the rules because it's so overly complicated with energy and managing the resources. Like I just want to go out there. Tell me how far I can move, how far I can shoot, what I need to roll to hit, and how many times I can get shot before I'm down. That's all I need to know. Then I can have a great tactical game. But yeah. Off grid, how you doing, man? You ready for Sunday? I know it's only Wednesday, but I I got some really recent inspiration for making your guys' life miserable. I'm kidding, but I did get some really good ideas for some neat stuff. I did get the Iron Maiden ones, yes. Diano was a douche, but killers rules. Exactly. It's just like, why is it like that? It was like that movie, that thing you do. I think it was that movie where they had the really big fat singer who was just like this great, like meatloafian singer, but in real life he was just like a piece of shit. Um, I think that was the movie. I really liked that movie, whatever it was. Um, I really like Meatloaf too, but he wasn't a piece of shit. He turned out to be a really nice guy. I'm sure he probably did some crappy things in his life. We all do, um, but whew, he could belt out some amazing shit. I still listen to Bat Out of Hell at least once a month. Um, and Carla DeVito, oh my god, it just proves that the world is not fair. A big fat saggy bloated motherfucker like that could pull that. She was just like top 5 women of all time I've ever seen. Her voice, her everything was just like, what a woman. I just watched a video about Henry Cavill. I saw that too in GW getting a sweet deal out of Amazon. The project's integrity of the property from going broke protects the integrity of the property from going woke. I'm excited. I am going to hold my excitement until it's out, it's done, and we see what they do. Because I mean, it takes a very discerning eye to pick out the message, and I don't want to see the message in anything that I do from either side. To be honest, uh, when I'm doing this shit, I just no, I'm doing this shit to leave Earth. You know what I mean? Uh, the Earth we live in is well, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's got its moments, its places, its wonders, etc. It doesn't have orcs. It doesn't have elves. It doesn't have ray guns. It doesn't have lightning bolt spells that I know of. I've tried, or any of that cool shit that we get into, here. And that's what I want to do. One of these days, with these eyes or the next ones I get in the next life, I want to see some cool shit. I want to call down lightning bolts onto the orc army that's invading, the village or whatever. I 3D printed Space Hulk and got the rules. That's a way to do it, but I'm kind of done with 3D anything except terrain and all minis. They got to be metal, man, metal like my heart, um, because I want them to last. Everything I've gotten 3D printed, besides some terrain like these things right here, I could probably snap them and break, probably, but I'd have to really try. If I drop them, they're not going to shatter in a million pieces. This Deja Thoris piece, if I look at it wrong, it's going to shatter in a million pieces. The dress thing that she's wearing, I kid you not, I have used toilet paper with more integrity than this. It is amazing that they printed it and it came out, but the only reason it has any strength to it at all is the primer that I put on it. It was unbelievable that it arrived intact. And then, I had to actually snip off a little bulge and a file a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God, I have never been so gentle with anything in my entire life. And I'm still worried that I'm going to destroy it with my 8 strength. It's funny because 40K going from second to third and then fourth, and Warhammer Fantasy Battles going fourth to sixth was shedding people I knew who played, whereas now people expect a new edition. Yeah, I was a first, second. I didn't go beyond second, as far as I know, with the first codexes. I was like, this is it. I don't need anything else. I don't need new rules. These rules weren't broken. We never had any complaints or any issues. We just, took the good with the bad. Not everything was perfect. And the army you picked to be your army wasn't guaranteed anything but, a fighting chance on the table. And if the dice gods were pissed off at you that day, so be it. We could always play another game. Maybe not today because this one took 16 hours, but maybe next weekend we could play another game and that was fine. Um, Dude, if they did Space Crusade right off the bat, it'd be $150, and there'd be like 16 expansions and all this other crap. It wouldn't be like, here you go, here's Space Crusade, enjoy. Share it with the kids. Got yourself a nice little family game. Obviously the women folk are going to be like, not so happy unless they make like a whole contingent of female Space Marines. Don't get me started. Or a bunch of female Eldar, and then it'd be like, oh, the big burly Space Marines picking on the poor little elf girls. You can't win. Um, Now, if someone could come up with the Space Crusade rules and put them somewhere easily accessible for folks, we could do like our friend here and make our own. Okay, Edgelord, tell me how you really feel. Space Crusades effing rules. Full stop. I never had the pleasure of being introduced to it until way later, and it was way too late. I think somewhere in a box I actually have a Space Crusades rule book. I think. I know I read it. And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty simple. It's like Hero Quest in space. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Don't have to worry about treasure. It's just about killing the Tyranids or killing the Space Marines. Um, who doesn't want that, right? I have so many great memories of playing Space Hulk on the PlayStation 2. It wasn't even the PlayStation 2. It was whatever Panasonic's game was. Was it the 3DO or Neo G? I forget what it was. My ex-girlfriend worked for Panasonic, and one Christmas she won a prize, which was that and a crap ton of games. And she wasn't a video game player at all. She hated them, as a matter of fact. Part of the reason we broke up. But this is when I lived in Virginia. I would I had my easy chair, front room, quiet as the grave, because I had my headphones on. I'd partake a little, sit in the dark playing that game, and when those jump scares, because they were the first jump scares, let's face it, in video game history, I'm sure at least once I peed a little. Full disclosure, it was fucking awesome. It was so stressful. I don't know if it was the music, the dark, something else, but sitting there just, I was something else, man. Meatloaf was loved in the streets, but hated at the buffet. A 40K movie surely has to be a money printer. Just hope it looks the part. I can't even remember. I think the last movie I went to was the Spider-Man with Mysterio, and I hated it. I freaking hated it. It was like, this is not any of the Spider-Man that I grew up with. The only thing that's the same is the suit. Edgelord King says, I bought Space Crusade during an auction, during an Origins in honor of my late friend who I played the video game with, who died at 26. Oh, that sucks. I had a friend who passed at 32. Used to call me every freaking day for DM advice or questions about the game we were in, like every day for years and years and years. And then he got cancer and poof, gone. I've got a colonoscopy to go through before Sunday, and I doubt their plans will make me any more uncomfortable than that. Well, that's the shame you have to go through that. I will never have that problem because I'm hoping to never see a doctor again, at least while I'm alive, because I fucking hate them. Take care of yourself, OGG. Yours is soon as well. Good luck, guys. Yeah, good luck. I you'll be wet farting for a week. That's not even the reason, man. I just I can't trust them. I don't like them. Everything about the medical industry to me um, is evil. That's just me. I know I'm going to need them because I'm saying this shit, and I'm going to have to eat my own words or whatever. But um, what happened a couple years ago? Just yeah, it's a 40K series that he's working on. The first season has a $150 million budget. Nice. I hope they do it justice. And I might watch it. What's up, George? What's up, Nerdy? I miss your good old fashioned Axis and Allies. I want to play Smurf Wars. Hopefully, Elliot Page plays Sanguinius and the Imperium learns to accept four-armed cultists who liquefy brains and drink them because it's their culture. Axis and Ally rules. I actually worked for Pewtercraft for a short period of time. And they were the guys who created the metal pieces for like the anti-aircraft guns and some of the newer, like the first edition of like new third-party rules and add-ons to that game. Getting a colonoscopy was fun. They gave stuff that killed Michael Jackson. Yeah, hard pass. I don't even like taking aspirin. I really like Axis and Allies, the Battle of the Bulge. Too few war games consider supply. Cold Iron says Resurrection is pretty cool. I don't know what that is. I need to get the Axis and Allies Battle of the Bulge. It's a real departure from the original Axis and Allies, but it's good. It made the cut. Nice to hear. Joking around, it wasn't bad. Just getting rid home was the toughest part. George, I'm ready. Untrusting of the Canadian medical system. What is this you speak? Yeah. I work in healthcare. I imagine my embarrassment when I came to from mine and the new nurse with my ugly ass hanging out. Uh, this wasn't my first rodeo, but yeah, the prep sucks, and so does the ride home, like a whoopee cushion. Yeah, yeah. Just it's not happening. It's just I do everything that I'm supposed to for the most part, health wise. There's a few little things I could do better, but um, yeah. All right, so what's going on here? Ba-ba-ba-ba. Just drinking that stuff, no solid food for 24 hours. Yeah, that's like really a hard thing for me to do right now. Um, I have to eat a little something every so often, um, or I have some stomach issues. If I could get over that, and a few other things, I'd think about it. But at the same time, you had a good friend die of colon cancer, so you get yours done. Yeah, well, I figure. Uh, I just can't trust them, and I know that as soon as I go, uh, they're gonna find some shit wrong with me that I don't give a shit about, and the wife is just gonna lose her shit, um, and that's just gonna uh, exacerbate her condition. And if she doesn't have to worry about me, she doesn't have to worry as much. Means she lives longer, and that's the deal we all make. Being men, right? They get to outlive us and take care of our shit when we're gone. Bubbles assassinated Michael because he got tired of him giving his beer to kids. Well, we all got to die sometime off grid. Um, I'm, you know, not looking forward to it, but I'm not fearing it in one little bit. Um, it is weird. I have absolutely. I don't know what the big freaking deal is. Yeah, the big F and C scares me greatly. I had a few close calls recently. Well, I hope that all clears up and you do fine and you do all the things you want to do. Um, so James says, my doctor is a better dealer than my dealer. My dealer is a better doctor than my doctor, right? Yeah, I don't have either, and I'm going to keep it that way, clean and sober, uh, staying away from a bunch of things. But man, I'd kill for a bag of chips right now. Oh my God. They always biopsy something, extending the stress till you get results. Like, I don't care. So what? I'm gonna die. Shit. I'm almost 60. I've seen what happens to people in their 70s and their 80s and their 90s. That doesn't sound fun. I'm glad it cleared up. Uh, what's better than what's coming? Can you answer me that, Batman? Yeah, sure. I want to see my boy, get married, have kids, and all that stuff. But there's always going to be something, and holding on to any of those things too much. Uh, I always assume that every ache or pain is death's frosty hand on my scroll. Um, I'm of the mind along the lines of Roy Scheider and all that jazz. That bitch wants me and she can't have me yet. But, when it's time to, you know, have that dance with her, she ain't never going to forget it. Later than sooner, the older I get, the less I fear death. I need to stick around to take care of your folks. I don't, exactly, I don't have permission yet. If the big guy wants me home, he's going to take me. What am I going to do? Say no? I'm going to stay here and be a ghost. Fuck that nonsense. My time is my time. And like I used to tell someone, if I see that doorway opening up, I'm running through it. I'm not like, oh no, no. I'm like, because that means I get in. You know, I mean, because it could be the other thing. Like in Ghost, those little shadowy bastards drag your ass downward. No, if I see those guys, I'm breaking off a chair leg or something and beating the crap out of them guys. I hope to live TOGGG, but have faith that if it does go tits up, you'll be doing shots with Connery. Yeah, nice, nice. Yeah, there's a couple of people I look forward to see. I hope they make it. I hope I make it, but I didn't really want to go down this road. So middle of the week and all. I don't know. The concept being a ghost is the ultimate in trolling people. Um, because there's no such thing. At least in my opinion. Um, I can't see how the big guy would say, "Yeah, you could stick around. You don't have to go to, up or down. You could just stick around and what? No, you don't. You're either coming up here with the big guy or you're going down with the other guy, and that's just that. Why would there be such a horrific situation allowed to happen? You know what I mean? Um, who's in charge? The big guy, right? Well, would he really do that? Would he like, yeah, you can stick around and haunt this house long after everybody is gone and do stupid shit, knocking things over and whatnot because you're pissed off that you are staying because you don't want to go up or down. Um, you rolled your dice, you took your chances, you made some really good or bad decisions in life, and now you got to pay the price. Um, is that simple? I mean, everything else to me is just like, overactive imaginations or wishful thinking. You only get to be a ghost for a limited time unless you attach yourself to the willing living. If you don't go through the sun door, or so I've learned, I would need scientific provable evidence to believe any of that, and nobody can provide that. Therefore, uh, the bad guy will say lots of things to get us to think and do things that are not true. Uh, so I'm going to remain skeptical uh, about that. Because that just sounds like a whole lot of evil being perpetrated against innocents. That I'm sure the big guy and his minions would be like, yeah, put a stop to that shit. You know, know what I mean? I always thought Ghost was some space time fuckery or simid radiology. Redditology, that's fucking great. Oh my god, this is so much kookiness out there on the internet. Uh, we've good guys do the same. Hey, what's up, Coco? Uh, good gaming with you last night. Hey, Coco, don't say anything, but I think I found the ultimate cheat code uh, to getting away with being able to freaking smack some hurt on those were rats without having to go into debt. And it's only going to cost me a couple of silver pieces. Now I know Alan was talking about getting some silver studs and putting them in a club, and I'm like, yeah, but they're only going to get hit with like a nail's worth of damage. So each time you swing that club, you might do 1 or 2 points of damage, right? What does a sling do? Like D4, right? Well, what if I take my sling and I hurl silver pieces at the bad guys? It's going to be 1 to 4, right? And it's only going to cost me a silver piece each time I swing. What do you think? Would that work, guys? If your player said, "Okay, I take out my sling and I put a silver piece in it and I swing it and I hurl it at the freaking were rat," would you give me the D4 or would you be like, "You can't do that"? I'd be like, "Why? Because a sling, a coin isn't aerodynamic." Really? You want to look that up and double check? Last time I checked, I could skip a freaking a rock off the ocean or of the lake, excuse me, if it was shaped as much like a coin as possible, right, guys? So that's what I'm doing. slinging some freaking silver pieces. I ain't gonna be dropping freaking, 5 times the price to get a silver plated freaking sword that I'm gonna miss 1 in 8 times anyways. The trick to beating were rat is to become a were cheese. When the were rat eats you, revert to your hot dogkin form and explode the were rat. Yes, D4 damage. What's up, off grid? Hey, Coco. Right? Do you think that'll work? You think that's a little too meta question? Question about that. Who in your party would know about silver and lycanthropy? Your character, the cleric, the paladin. We all know that now. Somehow at the end of the game, we all know that you need silver, and everybody's like looking into buying silver daggers, and it's like, well, I just figure it's like the werewolf legend. We all know the silver bullet kind of thing. So why not, right? It's just one of the bits of lore. Um, I'm not. I think I'm being more meta with the silver coins. Uh, Trolls and fire, that would be a different one though. I would definitely make people have to find that out the hard way the first time. But then again, see, we're also playing in a highly cosmopolitan Greyhawkian city where the streets literally warp and change from time to time. So magical knowledge is probably elevated beyond what we picture like the Middle Ages and into maybe even the Renaissance with uh, not quite like actual schools, but at least some some basics. Like where critters and silver doesn't seem as much of a stretch as it does with trolls and fire or trolls and acid. Trolls and acid would be like, yeah, you don't know that. It's like, no, nobody knows that because nobody carries around freaking acid anymore. We were just talking about that the last week. Nobody in any party I ever ran in or played with ever carried around a vial of acid for disarming traps. It just never. And I've played in thousands and thousands of campaigns, and it never came up. It blew my mind. I'm like, that would have been so game changing over these years. Of every thief I ran, spending 5, 7, 12 gold pieces, whatever you're going to charge for a vial of acid on that one freaking locked door that I can't get through, and now I got to wait till I go up a level. Yeah, no, we need to get through that door, and we don't want to bash it open. Bloop, 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 bloop. A little bit of acid, uh, and melt that. Wait for the lock to turn to mush, and then open her up. That so many times we banged our head on freaking walls, not being able to get through a door. But that's my plan, anyways. Silver being a solution for curses that are bloodborne. It's an antimicrobial. The ancients likely, though it purified the blood and ended infective curse. I'm surprised copper isn't used the same. Probably because copper is thought of as so base in the bottom, bottom of the barrel, basic bitch, metal for coinage that it's only worth a penny, so a penny can't be a cure for anything um, except for your sweet tooth and a piece of penny candy, maybe. I don't know, and I honestly didn't know that copper had any real effect medically, other than like those copper bracelets people used to wear. Yeah, copper doorknobs are great on public buildings for that reason. I did not know that. And I do remember seeing them, but I also remember seeing them like then coated with like brass or something, or silver, and you can see when it wears away that there's copper underneath. And I just thought, okay. Yeah, the only problem though is pennies themselves are filthy. So you're right. I have a penny in my homemade wet palette. Okay, off grid. The Earth's old world suppressed knowledge. Does every planet do that? Is that just like the law of the cosmos that every world is going to suppress knowledge? Because in my universe, that's not always the case. Now, admittedly, there are going to be some places that will do exactly that because it's evil and it keeps people in power. But in places that have good aligned kingdoms and good societies, like in my universe, there are going to be some places where that's not the the way it is. You got to kind of like try to let go of that, man. Every world is not just a shadow of Earth. It ruins it for me. It's like, oh, we'll just play on Earth. I don't want to be here. I'm out. As soon as the DM says that, I'm like, I'm fucking out. It's the last thing. Dude, could you show me you are the crappiest DM of all time when you say that? It's literally like I have no imagination, so I'm just gonna do what everybody else has done since the beginning of the hobby. No, make up some freaking brand new worlds. You know, you're a big Star Wars fan. None of those worlds are like Earth. I mean, there's some similarities here and there because there's humans on them, but a whole lot of things are you know open to do whatever we want with them. Uh, Same with our piping. The copper pipes went a long way to keeping the water clean. We just had copper pipes put in the house here. We were gonna go with whatever the cheaper material is, but we eventually decided to go with copper. Unfortunately, she picked someone to do the job who cut a lot of corners. Knowledge gets suppressed and lost, but I think consciousness wants to expand and move through the universe, so information finds a way. Or maybe you're in a kingdom or a state or a country where they've realized that they want their citizens to be as smart and intelligent and capable and competent as much as possible to make the whole kingdom prosper. Uh, rising tide raises all ships kind of thing. If you keep people down, well, then don't be surprised when your carriage breaks down and nobody for miles and miles knows how to fix it and you're stuck there, right? My next world I run after Call of Cthulhu will be Kaz. Nice. And I like to think, that um, that would be an indicator of the overall alignment of a kingdom, a country, etc. If you look down the road to see a school building, uh, hey, they want more than just dumbass slaves and peasants. Uh, so why not, right? Uh, Here's the thing: for the most part, that tactic is used to keep people down, and it's used by DMs to keep their world stuck in the dark ages. If you've ever played in a long campaign, the player characters alone, those 4 to 8 characters alone, can transform the world, obviously because they have their modern knowledge, but just in some of the things they do as adventurers and needing, like if you've ever been in a party or a game where the party had to have like a special gadget made, maybe it was a special tool or something, maybe, the screwdriver hadn't been invented or something, and they created, some tool or some gadget, and then that caught on, and within a generation they're using this thing all over the place. That's what we do. We make tools. We're born without any but these and this, and so we have to make our own claws, fangs, and whatnot, and pinchers, or clamps. So we do that, and to think that one monarch or another is just going to continually suppress that, you're going to end up with things like switchblades and spring-loaded weapons to kill the monarchy because they're being such asshats. So much of English law used to be written with the understanding that people were decent enough to self-govern in most day-to-day interactions. Nowadays, we are very legalistic and imagine the past as a cruel or unreasonable place. Well, yeah, because that fits the message and the narrative that they want to progress us to a point where everything's okay. That's just that's just the way that person is. We have to accept it. No, because eventually you get to a point where, well, my someone's going to come up with the argument. Well, my thing is murdering people, and I just want to murder all of you, and you just got to let me because that's my thing. That's my religion. That's my that's my preference. That's my orientation. No, we have to draw a line, and it has to be engraved in stone and placed for all to see, so that we don't let people get away with that shit. I think the more we're governed, the worse existence becomes. Well, to a point. I mean, there's one big governor up there um, who's always going to govern everything, and uh, under that governance, I am more than happy to participate. The one here down on Earth, governed by scumbags and Satan, not a fan. And uh, if I'm going to have a boss, I want it to be the best boss. I know everybody's got a boss at some point or another. Someone's telling you what to do, whether it's your wife, your husband, your governor, your whatever. Someone's always got power over you. Period. Uh, Lessening the links in the chain to the top is should be the goal, because that continental rights based conception of law is unnatural. We made law illegal, so take that, dictators. uh, that's fun. Yeah. But for the meantime, I'm gonna focus on the things I can change, uh, and recognize the things I can't, and pray for the wisdom to know the difference. We made more illegal, rather. Well, illegal for some, not for everyone. Obviously, certain places and peoples seem to be able to get away with whatever they want. Um, I don't know. I'm 60. There's not a whole lot of wars I'm going to be fighting, except on the tabletop. Um, and when I'm done, they can't have my shit and go find and make their own. Like, I keep thinking about that thing you showed me yesterday, James, with the destroying of books for the AI data centers so they could learn all our shit. Uh, it makes me want to buy up copies of certain books and then just like literally like burn them so the AI can never have them. When you assume a certain amount of common sense, you don't have to micromanage people. They don't want that for now. They will in the future. They'll beg for it. They'll literally beg for the AI to tell them what to do in the near future. I foresee, or at least not this generation or the next, the unborn generation. I think they will beg for it. Just whatever it takes to get them back their internet. And one can't be told what to know. Knowing is a path of self-discovery. No, as a parent, it is my job to tell my son things he absolutely needs to know. He will know those things until he's blue in the face. Um, that's my job. He has to know these things. If he doesn't, that's my failing, not his. Um, the fact that he can read and do a bunch of things makes him better prepared for what lies ahead, and we can't know what that is. So teaching them everything we can, every stupid dad joke and story that I can, you know, impart to him, so that he can do the same for his children, and until they're you know generations away. Um, that's my job. I have to do that. Uh, I can see in his actions and in his the way he does things that he's got a lot of it, not all of it. And there's some things that he's like rejecting because he's a teenager and he knows everything. But I know, just like me, when I was his age, I did a whole bunch of things exactly the way he's doing them. Exactly. The technology and the times may be different, but human behavior uh, is it's hard to get away from if at all possible. It's weird because I hear it's weird because I hear about AI all the time, but just don't feel much of a use for it. I might buy a few Penguin Classics before they shred everything, though. Yeah, buy as many books as you can. Tech bros are great examples of why nerds need doctors to prescribe wedgies. Yeah, yeah, I think that's very true. You don't see those administered like you used to though, because that whole zero tolerance. Because even the guy getting the wedgie gets suspended, which is the most asinine thought process. It's like, wait, I was victimized on your property, so I'm punished as well. You got cameras showing you exactly what happened. Minding my own business. Somebody comes up from behind, hits me in the head with a backpack or some shit, and I get suspended for being a victim? Well, shit. I mean, someone's eventually going to figure out, hey, I don't want to be at school, but I want to fuck up some people's lives. So I'm just going to go in with a 2x4 or a baseball bat and just start wailing on people. Uh, Sorry, Joey. You shouldn't have cut in front of me in line. Now you're getting suspended, right? I mean, what kind of bass backwards thinking is that? Well, you must have done something to deserve it. No, there's this word called victims. There's this word called innocent, collateral damage, bystanders. You can't punish those people because guess what? You keep that up, and victim shaming is going to become the bill of fare from now on. What you were, you know, you had that bad thing happen to you. Well, it was your fault too. You were there. You shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't have been this or that because, just like in school, zero tolerance. So next time you hear that awful phrase, zero tolerance, you know, bring up victim shaming and see if we can't nip that shit in the bud, right? Jack is lucky to have a father who prioritizes his well-being and can speak proper English. A second culture to visit and spend time in, and growing in the grounding of faith, which at his age I was running from. I know, right? Well, kind of like when I was 16, 17, I was desperately looking everywhere, and I started going to church. Um, and my parents hated every second of that and made it as hard for me as possible. And then a couple years later, I was going the opposite direction, like you said, and uh, but eventually, I made my way back home, and it's oh yeah, 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 yeah. He's got. That's what I keep telling his mom. He's got to make these mistakes. He can't learn if he doesn't make these mistakes. If he has everything handed to him and silver platter and all that, then you know you can't you can't learn the hard lessons until maybe it's too late, and we don't want that. Um, just like I was saying with wargaming, I was winning every game, and it was getting boring, and I wasn't learning. The few times I lost, it was because I didn't learn a valuable lesson that I needed to learn. Don't leave your heavy artillery unguarded. Don't leave your tanks without some way of being able to deal with the infantry that are going to come up and just throw themselves under your treads to keep you pinned until you know the enemy's artillery can drop a template on your ass. That's fucking epic. That was such a great game. It was so perfect. First and second epic Space Marines, just absolutely. I mean, you had it all. You had infantry, you had tanks, you had super heavy tanks, you had gargantuan freaking tracked Imperial Guard vehicles, little castles on wheels. You had giant stompy robots till the cows came home. you had demons, you had orcs, you had Eldar, you had the frickin' Tyranid bio monstrosities. All we needed was the fucking Necrons. Oh my god! If someone out there made like a Necron box set for epic Space Marines, I would have 10 of them. I would just have frickin' Necrons to frickin' cover the entire battlefield with nothing but Necrons. Big old, every freaking color of the rainbow, metallic green and blue and red and yellow, gold, silver, pink, whatever. Uh, Monoliths up and down the battlefield, all those giant freaking spider things. And oh man, Necrons were. They did have the Chaos Android, which was basically a Necron. I think like the earliest iteration of that. Oh yeah, the Falcon and the Tempest grav tank. Oh my god! When my players, my fellow players, uh, went up against my freaking company of Eldar grav tanks, like what the shit? Oh yeah, pop ups all day. You see that row of buildings? They're mine. They're my shields, and I'm going to pop up and blast you, and you ain't gonna do shit about it. You might have to take out the whole building and all those objective markers and whatnot. And oh, my save is a 2. Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially like that spider walker thing. Oh my god, it's freaking great. The scarabs are kind of cool. I don't really like the I think they're called destroyers, where it's like a little mini grav vehicle with a Necron torso sticking out the top. It's like, why would they do that? They've already got the grav platform. You don't need the arms and the head and the torso. It they should have like kind of evolved past the need to have their humanity, as it were, still represented in steel. They could be like, hey, just download me into a box, armor plate that box, and throw that box inside a hover tank, and we're good to go, right? You can always take my freaking essence and pump it into something later. Hell, they shouldn't even be on the battlefield. It should be nothing but drone warfare for the Necron. But drones weren't a thing back when they were created. I don't like the new style of Imperial Guard vehicles that have wheels. I like tracks on or GravTech. Uh, it's a Necron in a sleeping bag. Here's the thing. Um, because they didn't do wheels for so long, and I haven't seen them, but wheels are always going to be a thing. They are a easy, simple. It's the walkers that are retarded. Let's face it. I mean, when you've got treads, unless you think walking is going to be faster, but then they're also going to be faster to die. The chicken walker type frame, if you will, is just absolutely retarded. Battletech, two-legged mechs, really? You just have to aim for the legs. You knock out one leg, not even a weapon, just one leg, and timber, kind of like the flock cameras, right? If they're laying down, they can't do anything. They can't do shit. Uh, Old Epic Imperial Guard was nice having super heavies and leviathans, man. Oh, I would do whatever I could to get as many, because for every company you can get a leviathan. So I would buy like the cheapest companies. I think it might have been bikes or something like that, or maybe even Rough Riders, horsemen, uh, so that I could just have as many leviathans on the table as possible. 4 shields, all those cannons. They could hide behind buildings. They were like, souped up, uh, low cost not warlord, Reaver Titans. Uh, didn't move as well, but they could just you get them up on in the right location and just artillery blast the shit out of everything. I like them, but they're basically World War II half tracks and scout cars from post WW2, which begs the question: why not convert those and spend the difference on ice cream? Yeah. Actually, I've got some vanilla ice cream and some root beer calling my name. Uh, I hear they want over $100 for the new sculpt of the Star Wars Legion ATST. Well, they can go and get fucked, can't they? Because uh, if it's 28 mil scale, you can go on the open market, find some chicken walkers from the Star Wars miniature collectible game for probably like less than half that price. For $100, I can get like 100 pewter 15 millimeter. Yeah, man eating teddy bears, defeated chicken walkers. Yeah, is I mean the the defenses against the chicken style walker, the two legged walker, would be like you ever played the game Red Rover? Well, imagine you reverse the height and everything is aiming for the shins. You take out a couple of shins, that army is toast, right? They're big, heavy, walking, stompy artillery. I mean, what you need are four-legged or six-legged walkers. If you're going to do the walker thing, you got to make it as difficult for them to knock them down. So, like spider or ant walkers, even four-legged walkers, with literally carrying replaceable modular legs would be the freaking. You would have to do that. Your mech would have to have like a backpack with spare legs on it. Oh, that leg got blown off. Eject the housing and the joint and slap in a new one. Otherwise you're tipped over, falling and I can't get up. Right? Just dumb. And with drone technology, with what we can do now and what other people have been doing with them, uh, okay, you can fly, you can explode or shoot. You don't need anything else. Uh, and they've got cameras and all this other shit. We're going to quickly not even need soldiers in a generation or two if they keep that shit up. Uh, and we're going to have literally those assassin drones from like Dune, right? Someone's just flying around the thing, and it stabs you or shoots you or blows you up. Sorry. Improvements in robotics have made me come around to mechs a bit more, but I still don't fully vibe on the BattleTech thing. That much lore, I'll just take the real world event that inspired them. Yeah, don't get me wrong, guys. I love big stompy robots, but it's like it's like heavy metal or Harley Davidsons with loud ass lack of mufflers kind of thing. It's perceived as cool for the people involved. Everybody else, it's just annoying, right? If you don't own one or you don't like them, and some guy rides his freaking chopper into your neighborhood or whatever, and it's just loud as hell and just killing your vibe, it's not fun. Some people hate fireworks. I fucking love them. They're stupid. They waste a lot of money by just blowing shit up, but artistically they're gorgeous. But some people, the noise, etc., the smoke, not a fan. It's all an aesthetic, choice that people either like or don't like, that serve very little, constructive purpose when all is said and done. Giant stompy robots, they're just fucking cool. They look fun, but you know, when you can take one out with the equivalent of a high tech caltrop, you might want to rethink that strategy. I mean, the ultimate superiority in combat is flight and the high ground, etc. If you can make an army of flying freaking suicide bombs, and you can pump them out like freaking like cookies at the freaking local bake sale. All that big shit don't mean squat. Oh, wait a minute, what did I miss up here? Yeah, it's like these greedy corpo mini companies haven't figured out that the 3D printers beat rock and scissors every time and adjust their prices. James says, or just toy bashing, sure. But here's the thing. At Coco, yeah, sticky wicket for the Empire. Bikers here don't mess around. Yeah, they never have. Going all the way back to the 40s. They were some bad mamma jammas. Some really, really hardcore folks. Not really tea drinking, cake eating types I hang out with. Uh, Not really the tea drinking, cake eating types I hang out with. Right. Um, 3D until 3D printed stuff is 3D printed in metal or something better than a lot of the plastic resiny crap. Um, it's a very temporary thing, and for me, it's like, why would I bother just doing anything other than spray painting them one color, giving them the shittiest, crappiest, quick paint job, and calling it a day? Adult me is wondering how Ewoks suspended Douglas fir tree 100 feet in the air so they would contact each other when released. That's an Ancient Aliens episode right there. Um, yeah, it's uh, I'm sure it could be done with leverage and pulleys, etc. Level 1000 block and tackle skills. Yeah, which they really shouldn't have had. I mean, they were barely above fire, unless, they were, uh, I don't know, man. There were no Star Warsian justification for the Ewoks getting away with what they did. But, that's why everybody says, the only Star Wars movies are the first three. And I'm like, give me two and a half. Because the conclusion of Return of the Jedi, when it comes to the Ewok shit, um, just it takes every ounce of my ability to suspend my disbelief to make it through that. I do, because I do like the Luke Vader redemption thing. There was a period of time I hated that. Oh, so hated Star Wars for that. Um, but that's what it's all about. I was a younger, foolish individual and didn't realize that that's what the whole story was about. You know, Even if you include the prequels, that makes it even more apparent that poor Anakin was tricked by the most wicked son of a bitch in the galaxy, and he fucking fumbled his resist roll or something, uh, and went on a rampage that lasted what 3.5 movies. For me though, uh, it's the whole taking down of Boba Fett that pissed me off the most. Boba Fett was my guy, man. He was the coolest character in Star Wars for me for most of my life. Like, said almost nothing, and still he was the coolest shit there was. I think Ewoks was covering fire when they got shot by stormtroopers and their fur lit up, so that's how they do it now. The sacrificial Ewok gets shot by a blaster, and they pile tinder on them. I mean, why didn't they just do that? Take out a couple of stormtroopers and take their blasters and use their blasters from, very well concealed positions and snipe the shit out of them, right? Hey, man, you kick off at the Ewok watering hole, right? Um, it's just, I mean, we can't overanalyze it too much, or we'll get a headache, right? But I'm going to say adios, folks. It's been 2 hours. I have got some people stuff to do. I think I got a big box waiting downstairs. I'm kind of anxious to check that out. Solomon Kane. Yeah, that's one of my jams. So you guys have yourself a great afternoon. Don't let the heat get to you. Uh, get some fresh air. I will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, folks, God bless.